In this class, we are going to learn how to create a custom authentication scheme for our Oracle Apex application. In our previous class, we had seen how to create the authorization scheme based on the OCI identity and access management, wherein we allowed the users to log into the Oracle Apex application using their OCI, IAM or the IDCS credentials. So you can have a look at our previous class in order to know how to authenticate the users with the IDCS or IAM. In this class, we will create a custom authentication scheme. Let's consider you have a requirement wherein you are syncing the details of users in your organization to a ATP database. In that case, all the information like the username, password, that is encrypted password is stored in the database table. Now suppose if you want to allow the users based on this credential which is stored in the table, then we will see how to achieve the same using custom authentication scheme in this class. Here is the sample application which I am using for demonstration purpose. If I click on this preview, it is taking me to the login page wherein I can provide the username, password and I can sign in. So this will be based on the Apex credentials which we don't want. We want to create our own authentication scheme. In order to create an authentication scheme, first of all, we will create one table which can hold the user information like the username and the password. For demonstration purpose, I have created these tables. Let me copy this and run in my Apex. I will go to the SQL commands and I will create a table with the name app_accounts. Click on run. I will try to add 3 records over here in this table. I will paste and I will create one active record that is for John Doe. Next, I will create one more account for Mary Smith and the third account that is inactive I will create for Peter.Jones. So these are the 3 entries I have created in this apps account table. So if you want to verify, you can just check by running this SQL statement, select star from. So there is a typo over here, select star from app accounts. Click on run. So we are having 3 entries over here. One is inactive and other 2 are active. So with this set, we will try to create the authentication scheme. In order to create a custom authentication scheme using the table which we have created and the information like the login name, password which we have added over here, we have to go to the shared components. Click on the shared components within your application. Then you have to go to this authentication scheme. Currently, we are having Oracle Apex accounts. Suppose if you want to create a new one, click on this create on the right top corner. I will keep this default that is based on pre-configured scheme from the gallery. Click on next. I will give the name over here as custom authentication scheme, but in your project you can give as per the naming convention followed in your project. From the scheme type, I will select the custom and here we have to concentrate on this authentication function name. So we have to create a function which can authenticate the users. That is, when the user enters the credential over here, username and the password, it will be passing the information to this function and it will return the Boolean data like true or false. True means it is authenticated the user successfully, false means user is not valid. I have already created one authentication function which is following Oracle's guidelines. So here is the simple authentication function which I have created with the help of PLSQL. So we can write create or replace function. This is the function name. Basically, the syntax you should follow as is because this is given by Oracle. So for more information, you can look the docs.oracle.com in order to know what syntax you have to follow for each and every configuration what we do in Oracle Apex. Now this is with specific to creating custom authentication function. So in the input arguments, it should be as is like p_username, p_password. So this is of type varchar2 and it should return the boolean. As I told, it should return true or false. Now here we are just checking whether the user is entering the proper username password. You can convert it to uppercase in order to make a case insensitive and password should be case sensitive. But I have considered over here upper, but in your case you should not give upper. Compare as is the password, but username we have to make upper or lower before comparing. So if it founds any data over here, count will be more than 0. Here we are just returning whether count is greater than 0 means it is true or else it will return as false. In any other case like the exception, we will return the false. So this is a very simple function I have created. Let me run this copy and I will run it over here. We got a message saying function created successfully. Next, we have to copy this name and we have to provide in the authentication function name, that is auth_check. Once you have populated this function name, alternatively, you can provide the source code directly over here as well. Click on create authentication scheme. Once you have created the authentication scheme, we have to go to security attributes, because in the security attribute, we have to select which authentication scheme we want to use when we launch this application, or when we click on this preview, or when the actual users use this application at runtime. From the authentication scheme, it will show all the authentication schemes you are having for this application, like the Apex account or custom authentication scheme. Suppose if you have created the one using OCI, IAM or the IDCS, what we studied in our previous class, then it will show up over here. I will select this custom authentication scheme and click on apply changes. With this set, what I will do is I will click on this run page. Now it is making use of this standard page that is ending with 4 lines. Suppose if you want to see this page, we have not modified anything in the page because we have made use of the syntax as Oracle suggested in the docs.oracle.com. So we didn't modify this login page. If you go to this login page, it is basically using all the details like the username, password, what user enters over here in the screen, and it is sending to the backend using the same syntax like how we have created in the function p_username and p_password. Like here, if you see, if you click on username, it is asking for the username, password, and remember there are few check boxes over here and the button, that is the login button. Now if you go to the processes over here, set username cookie is there. It will remember your p username and the p consent, and the login details. If you see the parameters, p username, p password. So this is how you have to write your function, following the same naming what you have in the page. Otherwise, you have to change over here as well in the parameters. Suppose if you are giving the different name over here instead of p_username, then you have to modify it accordingly. So with this set, what we will do is we will provide the credentials over here. I will first of all tell Alex and I will give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, click on sign in. And this record is not available in our table. Suppose if I show you the table, I will go to the object browser, expand the tables, click on app_account, and I will switch over to the data. I don't have Alex over here. What I will do is next I will copy this Mary Smith and the password is Oracle Apex and click on sign in. This will allow me to log into the application because I have provided the same credential, that is Oracle Apex and the Mary Smith. Password you can do hashing and store it over here safely, that is by using any of the cryptography method. What I will do is I will this time give the inactive user credential, that is Peter Jones, and password is test pass. I will populate the same Peter not Jones and it is test pass. Let me just verify here. Click on sign in. So since this is inactive, it is not allowing the users to log in. It is saying just invalid login credentials. Ideally, we should not tell whether the username is wrong or password is wrong. Now let's validate before we wind up this class with the last user, that is John Doe. John Doe, and the password is welcome123. Click on sign in. Now John Doe is allowed into the application because the credentials are matching what we are having in the database. So like this, we can create a simple authentication scheme that is based on the PLSQL function, and we can allow the users to log into the application based on the credentials what we store in our database table.